Well, we are counting down the days until the election, November 8th. Local Decision 2022 continues. Eric Nelson with you here in the North Metro TV studios. And joining us is Paul Lenzmeier, who's running for Anoka County Sheriff. And Paul, we appreciate you coming in here. And I think first and foremost, tell the viewers about you and why you'd be a good candidate for this position.
Yeah, well, I've worked with the Sheriff's Office since I was 18 years old. I started as a community service officer, and then at the age of 20, I became a deputy. I rose through the ranks from deputy to sergeant to lieutenant to my current rank, which is commander. Commander is the highest promotable rank of the office. And so throughout my career, I've always tried to improve myself, improve the people that are around me, and ultimately make sure that I was providing the best service to the residents of Anoka County.
In your opinion, what are the main issues facing the Anoka County Sheriff's Department as we're into late 2022 and then beyond?
I think the biggest challenges right now are law and order. We have a rise in crime. Crime trends are rising, so we've got to combat that. And we're doing so aggressively, even from the lower level traffic offenses that we see out on the street. And there's a complete disregard for those laws, but all the way up to domestic assaults, our narcotics offenses, our overdoses are up. And so we really need to get a hold of those, and we're aggressively combating those through aggressive enforcement. But we're also making sure that we're being aggressive in making arrests, bringing people to jail, holding people accountable, and tackling some of those issues. We're also seeing on a bigger scale what I call a darkness at our doorstep, is that we see a chaos and disorder that wants to wreak havoc on our community. And I really see that as being something that we need to tackle right away. We saw in Richfield at the homecoming, we saw a shooting there. Just recently, last week at the Coon Rapids High School football game, we saw somebody have guns in the parking lot. So we're seeing this chaos and disorder, specifically that wants to wreak havoc on our society. Whether it's a riot, whether it's shootings, those type of things, that we need to push back and say, absolutely not here in Anoka County. The other area is hiring and retention. With the rough defund the police rhetoric from years ago, it's really taken a hit on our profession. And so as sheriff, it is my responsibility to create an atmosphere of welcoming and caring within the sheriff's office, which I will do. We also have a reputation, and we have opportunities within the sheriff's office that will help us with hiring and retention. But overall, we need to get back up to full staff so that we can provide the services to Anoka County that they deserve.
Do you feel we need tougher gun laws? I mean, given what you said about Richfield, Coon Rapids, and what we've seen really not only locally in the Twin Cities, but around the nation?
I think we need to hold people accountable. When we have these violations, when we see these individuals firing weapons in our society, we need to make sure that they're being held accountable. And so that's where I see probably the breakdown, is having these people released and back out in society after they've committed these violent acts. That's where we need to hold people accountable. That's where, throughout the judicial system, make sure that they're being held accountable and serving the time that they deserve.
The Twin Cities has been a global hotspot for George Floyd, Daunte Wright, Philando Castile, Jamar Clark. You've heard cries from some people about police reform. What does that mean to you? Does it mean anything?
Yeah, police reform, we're constantly reforming. We've been on the forefront of reform for years. Many of the things that the legislature is talking about, the sheriff's office has been doing for years. We talked about chokeholds. We've never done those in my 25 years with the sheriff's office. That's not something that we've trained on or used. Knee on the necks, we've never done those. Those type of things that are reform, we're all for. I said it earlier, but I'm all about learning, growing, and improving, and law enforcement is one of those areas as well that we can learn and we can grow. We've been on the forefront of police reform, reforming voluntarily, just because we want to serve the community in the best way that we can. But yeah, I'm open to conversations, and I think it's a part of who we as a profession are.
And you look at Anoka County and the footprint from Columbia Heights all the way up to Linwood Township. There's a lot of diversity in there and various communities in that swath of land. How do you, patrol that whole agency fairly?
Yeah, so 21 communities, 455 square miles.
Yeah.
That's a lot of area, and you're right. The challenges of policing a city versus, we have farms in Anoka County
Yeah.
still. And so it's all about heart. And I think once we hire for heart. It's another way to describe it is hiring for character. But it really doesn't matter, whether you're serving a farmer up in Nowthen or a business down in Columbia Heights, as long as you're doing so because you care for people. That's the most important piece. And so that's the thing that we take pride in at the Sheriff's Office. We use the word ambassador a lot. We use the word protector, but ambassador is all about what we give back to the community. And when you provide that level of service to the community, you can do it whether it's on a farm field or in a downtown Columbia Heights.
Is part of that building bridges? There's a distrust in some communities, not all. But do you need to build bridges even better as you continue to evolve?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've taken, we understand that, trust is something that you can lose in a second.
Yeah.
And so we've developed trust over the last 12 years under Sheriff Stewart. Me being on the command staff team during that time, we've taken a lot of pride in developing trust and making deposits into our community. The community events, getting out in the community. As I announce my candidacy, I'll be boots on the ground. I'll be a sheriff that's approachable, that people can connect with. And so when there's issues or concerns, they can come to me and we can chat about it and work things out. But yeah, building relationships and maintaining them is work. You can't fall asleep at the wheel because in one moment you could have your trust completely gone.
Do you think some officers, including the Sheriff's Department, have been unfairly broad-brushed because of incidents like George Floyd or Philando Castile?
Absolutely. We have, 1 million contacts a day in law enforcement throughout the country. We operate under a microscope every day with body cameras, squad cameras. The Sheriff's Office has had body cameras we're in our 5th year. We're re-upping that in early 2023. And under that microscope, our deputies shine because we do the right thing. So the opportunities for mistakes are there. And until we take the human part of law enforcement away, we will have people that make mistakes, but it's all about limiting those mistakes. And that's through training, that's through accountability and transparency as well.
So you're in favor of body cameras? Because I recently had a conversation with a former Minneapolis police officer, and he says, well, that makes the officers now tentative to do their jobs because, as you said, they're under that constant microscope, and one slip up and the thing could go viral, or they might lose their job, or it could be worse.
Yeah, our deputies love the body cameras.
Okay.
In fact, when we first got them, of course, there's a little bit of a learning curve because being on video, the majority of your shift is something new. But the number of complaints that we've been able to exonerate the deputies for, the number of evidentiary value that creates. So for the most part, I believe every deputy out there values that technology and welcomes it. Like I said, we do a lot of great things out there. Our deputies do great work, and what those body cameras do, it just provides video evidence of that great work that they do.
And most people I talk to, they're not for defunding the police. They want police protection, but they also want police accountability. What does accountability mean to you?
Accountability means that if we make mistakes, we own it, we're transparent about it, and we hold each other accountable for it. If we make a mistake, the public needs to know that. The public needs to trust that Paul Lenzmeier as sheriff will ensure that the troops, the Sheriff's Office personnel, will be held accountable for mistakes, but be fair. Even in the public sense, I'm all about accountability. But along with accountability, there's compassion and empathy as well. And all three of those can exist together. And that's no different than on the street or inside the walls of the Sheriff's Office.
Recruiting people to get into law enforcement. What's your pitch these days? Because it has been a rough go. It's been a tough few years, especially here in the Twin Cities. It's been the epicenter.
Yeah, so our pitch is, if you have a heart for service, come and serve. If you don't like what you see in law enforcement, come help us fix it. Come join our ranks. We'd love to have people with different ideas, how we can improve things. And one of the things about the challenges that we've seen over the last number of years is that there is a bright spot. And the bright spot is the people that are going into law enforcement, going into the schools, they have a true heart for service. And so when you see that, you don't have the same people that want to get into law enforcement to carry a gun and be badge heavy, or it's about them. It's really about servant leadership. When you're going into law enforcement to serve people that may not like you, that's a true heart for service. And that's the positive message that we're sending today is come join us.
And you've been in law enforcement basically almost 3 decades. Is it still evolving?
It is, absolutely. From the onset of 18 years old when I started in a squad car with a old computer to right now we've got dictation, we've got body cameras, we've got squad cameras, we have drone technology. A lot has changed, but it's in a good way.
Police chases. What's your take on that? Because sometimes they can go awry.
Yeah, they can, and in fact, there's a really fine balance to whether you continue to pursue, or whether you wait for another day. Putting the lives of motorists at risk is really a tough decision at times, balancing the violation of the suspect. But ultimately, with the technology that we have today, we're utilizing a lot of different things to mitigate the dangers of a pursuit, whether that's MnDOT cameras, the State Patrol flight teams. Those are the areas that we focus on. We also focus on technology such as just good investigative work in the event that we need to terminate. But ultimately, our goal is public safety, and many times we do have to cancel a pursuit based on the driving conduct, but doesn't mean that we're not going to get them at a later date.
Minor traffic stops. We've seen Brooklyn Center basically say we're not going to enforce that. An expired tab, maybe a license plate light that's out. Where do you land on that?
I think those minor traffic violations are a great opportunity for, number one, for us to educate the public, but number two, we've gotten a lot of higher level crimes coming from those type of traffic stops. In fact, we in partnership with Dakota County and several other sheriff's offices did a study early in 2021 where we actually documented the number of equipment violation traffic stops and what ultimately came of those. And when we looked at those, we had DWIs, we had narcotics arrests, we had some significant arrests. In fact, I believe there's even a homicide suspect arrest from an equipment violation. So do I think that everybody needs to be issued citations for every equipment violation? Absolutely not. But I do think that it's a great opportunity for us, number one, to make a connection with the community, but number two is being able to look for those additional things that we might not see without making that traffic stop.
What's the Anoka County Sheriff's Office doing right, in your opinion?
I think what we're doing right is we're investing in our community. We've got a lot of community outreach, community and sheriff together fishing event where we bring in kids that can't come out on the water, learn to fish with a deputy, members of our staff with the sheriff's office. Our open house has over 1,300 people on an annual basis that come and just connect with the sheriff's office. So I think what we're doing well is we're serving our community and we're a part of it. And that's one of the things I take a great pride in, is being part of an agency that values community. I've been a lifelong resident of Anoka County, and being a part of this great community is something that is very important to me and I'm very passionate about. And I think the Sheriff's Office is doing an outstanding job with community.
Civil unrest, a pandemic. I mean, there's been a lot to navigate here in the past few years. Are we still in a healing process? And if we are, what can the Anoka County Sheriff's Office do to, make sure that healing continues?
Yeah, I think we are in a healing process. I mean, there's just a lot of hurt, but a lot of anger out there. You know, as I've been campaigning for the last 11 months, knocking on doors, there's a lot of divisiveness in our community, in the state and in the country. And we need to start focusing on public safety and the things that we agree on, and start building relationships and trust based on those things that we agree on. You know, my slogan is community-focused public safety. And community, it has the 5 last letters capitalized, which form the word unity. We need to be together. We need to have togetherness, and in togetherness, we can solve a lot of problems. We can begin to heal, but we need to do this together. You know, just because we may be different, have different views, doesn't make us enemies. And as sheriff, I see that as something that I need to do, is serve as an ambassador for unity, because public safety is something that we all can agree on. It's something that I can bring people together on, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, Paul, thanks for joining us, and good luck in the election.
Thanks for having me.
All right, he's Paul Lenzmeier, running for Anoka County Sheriff. This is Local Decision 2022.